What's up, y'all? Good morning. Happy Monday morning. I know we're all psyched for that. People that say they don't hate Mondays, it's like, well, you know what? Shut up. Oh, let me turn the lights on. Oh, got one more light to turn on. There we go. Cool. Good to see y'all. We're going to talk about the Battle of Crow Heart Butte today. We've done an episode on this. I've done an episode on this. No, because I have an editor. But the link to the episode is at the top. If you haven't seen it yet, obviously watch this stream first. But it's a good episode. It's one of those that I didn't think a ton of people watched, and it's just such a brutal story. If you like intertribal warfare, this is going to be your thing. Good morning, Bama Deanna. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, just like always, we're going to go 5-10 minutes just kind of hanging out and letting people come on in. All right, you're first. Well, Nick Sweeney's first here, and then Bama Diano. So good to have you both. Regulars, always good to see familiar faces. And we're getting quite a few new people in here too. So that's awesome. Growing, it's really growing, which is great to see. But yeah, so Crowheart Butte. I'll probably show this book a couple times as people come in. This one isn't a huge book. It's called Red Was the Blood of Our Forefathers, Episodes from Crow Indian Intertribal Warfare by Brian L. Keefe right there. Great book. I'll show it a couple more times. I'll try and post a link for purchase too before we get out of here. Bama Deanna says, "You can't see me." Is that a John Cena joke? Good morning from Hood County. What's up, Freddie? Good to see you, man. We're just kind of chilling and letting people come on in here. So this is a coffee talk. It's a little more casual, but a little shorter story, and we'll see where it goes. Couple heads up before everybody comes in. I have pest control coming at some time this morning, and they never let me know why. So if that happens, it only takes them like 5 minutes. So I'm thinking I'll maybe hop off, let them do it, and hop back on. They got to do it. I live right next to the woods, and I saw a roach last night. So if you don't get on it, then they'll be everywhere. No, you said you could see our faces. Oh no, sorry, Bama. I meant that in the Bama Deanna. I meant that in the figurative sense, I guess. It's I meant good to see your screen names in the chat, but no, I can't. I'm the only face that's visible here, unfortunately. Happy Monday, Nathan Herrera. Good to see you. Good to see you. I left the door open there, but we're gonna ride with it. Girth Brooks. I like that name. And also, I have some friends that are in town, and they're dog trainers, and they're picking up a dog that they're going to work with in Austin here. So they might swing by and in the kitchen grab a cup of coffee. So if you hear anything, we'll keep it quiet. But just so you know, it's not a intruder. My friend's a very large Samoan gentleman. So when he asks for something, you give it. Good morning, Space Cowboy. Good to see you, man. Like usual, we're letting everybody kind of stream in here, no pun intended, for the next 5 minutes or so. And we're going over Crowheart Butte. I'll probably do this a couple times in the show, but it was tough with the shine there. Red Was the Blood of Our Forefathers is the book that we're using today. Those little stickies are just there to make me look smart. And they're not working, but we're trying. I think it at least gives the illusion that I'm reading the books. No, this is a great book. This is where I got the Crowheart Butte episode from. The link to the episode is up there at the top of the chat. Again, I think all our episodes are cool. I think they're all good. But the some episodes hit, some don't. And I thought the Crowheart Butte one was like, man, that's such a cool one. Not a ton of people watched it. So I thought, hey, let's press the story a little bit here. This is such a cool, it's a pretty brutal story, to be honest, but it's kind of a horror story more than a drama. It would make a good kind of history horror story. I have an idea on an episode. Oh, really? Okay, cool. Hit me up on the email. And I just worked all night last night, so I will send your email to Arizona Boy, and we'll work all that out today here too. It's been a lot of, I think I said last night, everybody has a lot of spinning plates. I know, but we're all spinning a lot of plates, aren't we? Yeah, but hit me up. That'd be great. I get a lot of ideas for episodes from people. It's this is one of the most. It's an intimidatingly informed audience. Y'all know your stuff. Wild Bill Wildest Show. Oh yeah, hit me up with it. Can you email me like the general idea, and then I'll work on it. Yeah, I just get the episode ideas from random places. You want the smaller, the little less known ideas, the better. Really, it seems like those do pretty well. And Crowheart Butte is surprisingly little known. Let's see where are we at here. We'll go to let's let people pile in for 10 minutes and then we'll hit the actual story. I like the stories of tribes at war with each other, says Girth Brooks. Honestly, I do too. I think it paints a far more accurate and far more respected picture, respectable, maybe that's not the word I'm looking for, but reverent picture of the tribes, because it's like, no, these people weren't pushovers. They were here warring over this land for centuries. And this story also shows that the alliances waxed and waned. So one tribe would be cool with the other for years, maybe months, maybe weeks, maybe decades. It was just a fluid picture. It's not that different from Europe. It's not that different from Asia, the Middle East, Africa, where, yeah, politics are politics. Like your friend one day might be your enemy the next. And we're going to look at that, how the Shoshone and the Crow interacted. How they had a long-standing rivalry, and then this kind of third-party interaction with the Shoshone and the Bannock. Well, I guess that'd be third and fourth, but the Shoshone, or I'm sorry, the Bannock. How am I blanking on the name right now? The Bannock. No, it is just the Bannock, right? Yeah, the Bannock. Sorry, I've got a lot of the names swimming around in my head. But the Bannock tribe is all these tribes are way up in the Wyoming area. Sometimes the Bannock go into the Montana area. But the Bannock had a temporary alliance with the Crow that soured, and they allied with the Shoshone, and the Shoshone and the Crow are not getting along at all. And we're fighting over, let's at least show you the basic map here. We are fighting over, we'll show you this area. Central, kind of southwestern. I had the area of Crowheart Butte pulled up. There we go. Can everybody see that before I go off on a tear? Oh, hold on. I share a different screen here. So I believe it's this one that I want, or this one. This one. Okay, cool. We're getting into the swing on a Monday, guys. Okay. Make sure y'all can see that. So this is Crowheart Butte, really kind of in the just west of the center of the state. And we're talking about a butte, still known as Crowheart Butte. Let me get a good picture of it here. So you can see there's nothing really around it. They need to make a Game of Thrones, especially SC about tribal wars. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. That'd be a good show. So what we're looking at here is this butte, pretty much in the middle of nowhere. There's mountains in the background; those are way off, and then there's just plains everywhere. So that's going to be the scene of our story today, and it's pretty intense. Let's see who else is. Anybody else piling in here? We're missing some regulars. Some people are going to get a hard time from us later, huh? I bet we'll see them for the evening stream, and then also coming up, we got a big week. So, and some people, I catch a little flack in the comments right now, which is cool, right? I'm always glad to hear from people, but people are kind of thinking the live streams are replacing the episodes. Y'all probably, if you're here, you probably know that, but the episodes are on the same schedule. These are just to supplement, and they're fun. So we're doing quite a few live streams. So let's see, we're almost at 10 minutes. We got enough people in here. All right. So one last time, I just really like this book. I know everybody likes the books, so I'll try and post a link for purchase to this. There we go. Red was the blood of our forefathers. We're going to be taking the story from this book. It's an account of intertribal warfare, Crow intertribal warfare. Evan, last night's stream was dope. Thanks, man. That was fun. I had a good time on that. And kind of thought, well, let's talk about the Battle of Crowheart Butte in the same way. So we're almost 10 minutes in. Like I said, I have some friends that they need to stop by. So you might hear some noise in the background, but ignore it. You may not hear it at all. So Crowheart Butte, the Battle of Crowheart Butte happened in 1866. This is way out in Wyoming. So there's no settlement out there. It's just the tribe still. Billy Bob, what's up, man? We still got people piling in. We're just starting the story, so you're here right on time. So, Crowheart Butte, the Battle of Crowheart Butte really takes place over the better part of a week. It starts with there's two different accounts, right? Anytime you have intertribal warfare, there's one account from one side of how this started and another account from another, which is understandable. But one account from the Crow side says that the Crow had actually gone over to visit their the Bannock because they were still like supposedly kind of cool, and then the Bannock were with the Shoshone, and everybody was trying. They were trying to get along, like so they're over there visiting the Shoshone, visiting the Bannock because, like I said, this waxes and wanes a lot, right? So the intensity between the Crow and the Shoshone has started to kind of wane, and they're thinking like maybe we can make a deal. But the chief of the Shoshone has this like blood oath where he's just not going to make a deal with the Crow. But while he's gone, supposedly a crow hunting party is gone from the village. So the Crow women, children, and some of the warriors go visit the Shoshone. This is the Crow account, and the Shoshone like trick them and capture the women and children, uh, massacre the warriors. The Bannock and the Shoshone kind of jump them, right? And then the next day, um, they the war kind of starts. The Shoshone account is that basically the opposite. They had a meeting, and the Crow kind of tricked them and jumped them, and then both are in camps a couple miles apart. So they kind of meet in the middle, and the Crow attacked them, and then they both split back to their camps, and now the fight is kind of on. In either case, there's been some animus stirred up here, right? So in this middle ground, and it's like it's only a couple miles. So let's say it's like a mile and a half from each camp. It's a big spread out middle ground, like plains, but there's rolling hills. So the Shoshone and the Bannock show up at this middle ground, and then the Crow show up, and they basically draw battle lines. And this isn't unheard of in intertribal warfare. I think the best way to think of it, it's kind of like a Braveheart situation. A couple hundred people on each side, a couple hundred for the Crow, a couple hundred for the Shoshone. I messed this up. It's the Shoshone versus the Crow at first, and the Shoshone are wildly outnumbered, right? They have the battle lines are drawn up, and the Shoshone can see like this isn't that great. Then Crow runners go back to the Shoshone or to the Bannock village. It's not far away, and they say, "Yo, we need a little help." So Bannock show up like a bar fight. Now the Shoshone's bros have showed up, and we're matching numbers with the Crows, and now we can have an actual fight. But it's a couple hours, it sounds like, where instead of clashing, these two lines are set up on either side of the field, and warriors just make like false charges. They ride up and down their lines, kind of encouraging their warriors. And then one will come out and make a insult to the other side or challenge another warrior, but nothing seems to really come of it on the first day. And eventually, each side is so like frothed up that the Crow Chief, right? Yes, Crow Chief raises his hand to give the sign for his guys to make a charge. Supposedly, right when that happens, an arrow flies through his hand, hits his hand, and like that's a bad sign, right? But the two sides clash. It's a gnarly battle. It's not one pitched battle. Neither is medieval battle stuff like that. It's not so much one pitched battle that happens over hours where guys are in the middle of the field and clashing. It's an attack, a clash, and a retreat. Attack, a clash, and a retreat. So this happens over the whole day. There's a lot of warriors KIA and wounded on both sides. But eventually, nighttime comes and both sides retreat back to their villages. During the night, throughout all of these days, both sides send out young men, young warriors that aren't fighting age yet, to go back to the battlefield, and they try to retrieve their KIA before the enemy can get to them, so that they don't get mutilated. And then any enemy body they find, they're supposed to scalp and do the whole business too, right? So that's going on the battlefield in between fights during like the dead of night. So the next day, pretty much the same thing happens. The next day, pretty much the same thing happens. except the Crow finally get the Crow lines finally break, and they retreat a couple miles up the river. This is on Wind River in Wyoming. They go a couple miles up the river, and the Shoshone and Bannock think like, I think we pushed them off. I think this is kind of a settled deal. But the next day, the Crows are back again, and another fight ensues. And this time, the Crow managed to drive the Bannock and the Shoshone over a hill close to their village. They're driving them closer and closer to their home village, which is not what they want. The Shoshone and Bannock women and children can supposedly see them coming from a ways away, and the women and children just start wailing like they think, "Oh, this is over." They expect to be taken over. Some of the women start arming themselves. Some of them start running with their children. It's just a chaotic scene, a terrifying scene in the Shoshone Bannock. There's not a ton of Bannock there. It's mostly a Shoshone village, but there's kind of this staging place where the Bannock are coming into the Shoshone village, you know, linking up with some other Shoshones and then taking off for the battle again. This is a fluid situation as this is happening. Like I said, not one large clash. You'll see a clash and then a little bit of a retreat on both sides. New warriors will come in, especially for the Shoshone and the Bannock, because what the Crow have is kind of what they have. Like they're a lot of guys. It's a couple hundred guys, but they don't have replacements coming in and they don't have an allied tribe coming in to help them like the Bannock. So, but eventually they managed to drive the Shoshone and Bannock back over. I think I forget the name of this mountain, of course, but over a large hill, right? But once it's a steep hill, so they're driving the Crow are driving the Shoshone and Bannock up and over the top of it. And when the Shoshone and Bannock get to the bottom of the hill, their Chief Washakie, turns them around. We don't exactly know how. There's two stories on this, but the Washakie does turn them around. He inspires them. One story says that he just like wheeled his horse around and started like, you know, encouraging his guys or berating them, but it was like a force of personality, head coach kind of thing, right? The other story says that he actually had a saber, like a U.S. Army saber, and he pulled that out, turned around, and like personally challenged the Crow chief, and they had like a one-on-one fight in between the two parties, like with the Crow on top of the mountain, the Shoshone at the bottom, and somewhere in the middle, Washakie and the Crow chief. It's not quite sure who the Crow chief is. I've heard differing accounts. I forgot to write his name down, but it is. I'm losing it in my notes here because it's not sure who the Crow chief was. So I kind of was hesitant to say. Either way, Crow chief and Washakie are supposedly meet in the middle. They have a fight. Washakie KIAs him, unalives him with the saber. I don't know about that. It's kind of more Shoshone lore. Either way, the Shoshone and the Bannock do turn around now. So now they're driving the Crow back up and over the side of this mountain. And on the other side of the mountain, it's all plains. And they drive them into the plains and then separate them. One contingent goes back to the Crow village, right? The larger contingent. And then 23 Crow warriors get kind of panicked, or I don't really understand how this happened, but fog of war, they get separated from the main party. And it's 23. It sounds like all younger guys. So late teens, early 20s. And the Shoshone decide, well, you're going to pursue the more vulnerable party, right? So they chase this Crow party, 23 guys, all across the plains, and you can see they chase them for miles, but you can see Crowheart Butte. Let's get a picture of it again. That there is nothing around Crowheart Butte. It's just this is a good picture where it's flat, right? This is kind of the only place of refuge. And already at this time, Crowheart Butte was known to the Crow, the Shoshone, everyone there, because this is a place where 18 years before, a group of Blackfeet had been trapped by the Bannock and the Crow, because the Bannock and the Crow had been allied at that point, and they got into a fight with 18 Blackfeet, and the Blackfeet had been driven up to the same butte, and something very similar to what we're going to discuss happen where they're trapped and it's a bad deal for them. But so it's a well-known place. It was already a known place for a last stand. It'd kind of be like, in their context, it'd kind of be like if you're getting chased through the streets of San Antonio and then you jump into the Alamo, right? Like it's already a well-known place for a last stand, and you're like, this looks like a good place, and you make your last stand there. Similar to what happened with the Crow, they had to abandon their mounts. It's not like they rode their horses up this super steep slope. So they abandoned their mounts and they're still doing this kind of running fight as they're climbing up the butte. And they know that there's nowhere to go. They know they're going to be trapped up there. But if they don't go up there, they're going to be unalived right here and now. So all 23 guys make it to the top. And the Shoshone and the Bannock spend hours at first trying to figure out how they're going to get up there. And they lose several guys because they can't ride their horses up there either. And it's steep, it's, open territory. And then you have to make this climb. It's going to be a really tough position to attack. So Washakie decides, like, all right, like we'll just wait them out. So for the better part of another week, so it's almost 2 weeks since the initial confrontation, whoever started it, or the Crow or the Shoshone, it's almost 2 weeks since that initial confrontation, about 10 days, where they're waiting at the bottom of Crowheart Butte, uh, just kind of waiting till there's no movement. Finally, after many days, there is no more movement. They don't see anything going on at the top. So several Shoshone warriors, excuse me, make their way up to the top of the butte, kind of inch by inch, because they're not sure if this is an ambush tactic. But they get all the way to the top, and they see there are 23 Crow warriors, all deceased, and so they take their toll. Like they exact their pound of flesh, pun kind of intended. They scalp, they mutilate, et cetera, et cetera. I think I can say that on YouTube, terms of service. But supposedly, and this is another one of those apocryphal stories, but it wouldn't be impossible. They supposedly extract the hearts of the Crow warriors. Some will say liver, some say heart, but it makes more sense in this context that it would be heart. They extract the hearts of the Crow warriors and consume them, or at least take a bite. It seems more likely to me that they would take a bite. But then the Shoshone at the bottom of the butte are waiting on their boys to get down there. It's mostly young warriors they sent up there because they're more fleet of foot, right? But the rest of their dudes are waiting at the bottom, and the Shoshone come down, and their mouths are all smeared with gore. And they said, yeah, they're proud of it, right? They're going like, yeah, we got our scalps, and bro, check it out. We ate we consumed their hearts. And the Shoshone are like, cool, bro, like that's awesome. And seriously, they mean it. So after that, the Crow, who this is a devastating blow to them, the Crow are forced farther afield. The Shoshone and Bannock take control of the area, at least for the next several years. And the area it's still known as Crowheart Butte because that's supposedly where the Crow's hearts were consumed by their enemies. Again, not a it's a very extreme story, and there's a lot of wiggle room for mythology. On the episode, I stayed with what I could substantiate, but an absolutely brutal chapter in intertribal warfare, one that happened relatively late. Like most intertribal warfare was kind of wrapping up by this time because the real enemy, they'll see with the conclusion of the Civil War. This is a year after the Civil War, so the country back east, the United States back east, is kind of still getting its bearings. Expansion's starting to explode, but Wyoming's still pretty wide open. This happens during a time when the railroad is not far away. Trying to think of other contemporary examples, but yeah, there's signs of burgeoning technology in the United States and back east in Europe that is going to kind of shape the 21st or the 20th century moving forward. And while that's just on the cusp, we're still having 1,500 miles away in the same continent, not terribly far. At the same time, we're still having intertribal warfare that's borderline Stone Age, except for the addition of horses and it's an extension of an intertribal rivalry that lasted for many decades, and it's just hard for us, I think, to fully conceive of how violent, how deep seated the resentment was, and how it shaped the geography and the demographics of the plains for hundreds of years. So it's been a driving force and even the continent that we know today. And I think just a story that a lot of people don't know about. A lot of people just really overlook intertribal warfare to their detriment of their edification and their entertainment. I think because it's like these are fantastic stories, brutal, but I think wonderfully illustrative of the actual reality of the Old West, and a picture in its totality, where it wasn't just conflicts between nationalities or races; it was between factions of the same people. So I think wildly overlooked. If you are looking to fill in a gap in your Old West history knowledge, I think intertribal warfare is the place to look. And if you want to start right now, you can click our link to the episode up at the top of the chat. Again, I think it's a really cool episode. It's one you can knock out. It's 15, 20 minutes long, and it sums the story up in more dramatic terms than we've talked about here. So highly recommend you check it out. And I'll try and like I said, I'll find the link to this and I'll post it. If nowhere else, I'll post it in the channel posts later today. I could find it before we get out of here. But Red Was the Blood of Our Forefathers. It's a whole book of stories like that. It's all intertribal warfare, just from the history of the Crows. Brian Elkeef did a wonderful job of assembling pictures, research, sources, all that stuff. Fantastic read if you're into this subject at all. So highly recommend that. Okay, let's check the chat real quick, see what we got going on. Bama 8900, good to see you, man. Did you check the Sun? Not yet, but it's on. I literally have it on my list right here. Just the famous Wild. Okay, just the famous Wild West show. Yeah, for sure. We actually talked about that in our episode on Rourke's Drift, which was another one I thought was like, man, this is a good one. And it didn't take off. So if you want a little dive I did into that, it's the Rourke's Drift episode where I talk about the one of the Victoria's Cross winners from Rourke's Drift, which was a terrible battle, a kind of afterlude. What's the word for that? A postscript or something to the Battle of Assandawana, where it's kind of England's Alamo or the British Alamo in a way, where it's like these guys, they survived, but they made their last stand against thousands of Zulu warriors. And one of the VC recipients who survived the battle ended up in the Wild West show. And it was kind of the only work he could get at the time. It was just a tragedy because he's like one of our Medal of Honor winners, like so. But I opened the story that way, and it really, I think, just shed light on his whole story and what he had done and what the guys at Rourke's Drift had done. So, and a good juxtaposition of the European interest in the Wild West show at the time and how they were just like getting anybody that they could to be part of the show. A great Rourke's Drift is a wild story, but I'll do more on it. I'm just saying we've touched on it a little bit. I haven't completely forgotten about it. Nick Sweeney says, I've made it to the People's Coffee Clatch. Coffee for the people. Yes, Nick Sweeney. Absolutely. It's good to see you again. And as we discussed, it's the People's Coffee Talk, but maybe that might be pest control. Sorry, 1 second. Guys, how are we going to do this? Let's see. You know what? I might just have to let it roll because we're kind of rolling in the chat here. I guess I'll have to call pest control back, guys. We're already going. Zulu, the film is so good. Michael Caine is in it. Yeah, that's Rourke's Drift. Yeah, Michael Caine does a great job. I think nothing was stopping the railroad, says Billy Bob. Probably not. And I think the thing that really made the biggest difference was infectious diseases, smallpox, cholera, stuff like that. Guys, 1 second. Let's go tell him. Hey, so I'm in a meeting right now. Could I reschedule or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, that's just fine.
All right, sorry, man. Sorry.
No,
It's like the worst possible time.
It's all good.
Have a good one.
Take care.
You too. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I'm dedicating my. We're gonna deal with the pests on our own, I guess, but we can't step away from the stream right now. We can't do it. Zulu the film is so good. Michael Caine smashed it in that one. Do you think the railroad would have been possible if it weren't for the near extinction of the buffalo? That's a good question. It probably would have been a lot different. That was the big reason they wanted the buffalo cleared out of there. I don't know how that got open. Because they were just hitting them all the time. It was a huge liability. Let's see. I think nothing was stopping the railroad. That's cool. I think I'm almost caught up here. Man, we got quite a few people here for our morning chat. Good to see everybody. Any questions on Crow Heart Butte? Or the book we used, the book I used, anything else? Upcoming topics, last night's stream, which was a good one too. I think maybe tonight we'll do another couple selections from that chapter because we only did 2 and there's 5 total stories. Yeah, we'll do another couple stories from this book too. This one's just chock. It's hard to find books specifically on intertribal battles. There's other ones. I forget the name of one that I bought. It was like more kind of concepts and a kind of 30,000 foot view of it, but it's hard to find actual sources on actual battles, which these are from cultures that don't have a written tradition, don't have a literal written tradition, but they have an art tradition and a storytelling tradition. So what's the word I'm looking for? How do you blank on simple words? Oral tradition. There we go. But so it's hard to substantiate a lot of the history. I get it, but it's harder than you would think to find good sources on intertribal battles. Morning, Arizona boy. What's up, man? We were just talking about you. I'm getting back to you after this stream. I had to work all night. And I'll send you Bama Deanna's email as well. The Red Stick War. Yeah, that'd be a good one. We don't talk about that a lot. Red Stick War. Let me write that down. Red Stick War. You should tell the survivors. I did. That's what I was saying. You should tell the survivors. You should tell the survivors of the stories of Rourke's Drift when they came home. So sad. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It's on the Rourke's Drift episode. It's from 2 years ago now, but it's about the battle, but it starts with the story of the survivors. Because it was just, they all got VCs, they all got Victoria Crosses, but then they were kind of forgotten. Would a freshly harvested, just recently quite a live heart not be a bit tough thing to bite of? All right. You could get, that's what I was, I think you got here just a couple minutes late, but Nick Sweeney. But that's what I was saying at the very end of the story. They say, oh, the Shoshone went up to the top of the butte and ate consumed the hearts of the Crow warriors. But I'm with you on this, Nick Sweeney. I think it's more likely that you took a bite. It's just it's a rubbery thing. It's going to be hard to actually, even to get one bite is going to be tough. Like you could do it. And it's a grotesque thing to think of, but yeah, I'm with you, bro. A whole heart. Like, come on. That didn't happen. It's like a chicken heart. It's probably like I hate to say this, but Hannibal Lecter says, pork is the most like people. So, I'm not saying that, but so maybe like a pork situation. I don't know how deep I can get into that without YouTube giving me hassle. I bet the Aztec would know the answer. Oh, that's a good point, Bamadiana. That's a good point. I think they would burn the they would burn the organ after harvest and try to get some. I don't know. What a weird thing to do, but they would try to have their priests discern messages from the smoke. It's like, guys, you know what I mean? Have you ever seen the rubber ball game they played where the winner got sacrificed? Which is like, come on, what are we doing here? I don't, you know what I mean? I know I'm not judging another culture, but kind of. You got to sacrifice the winners? I'm like, come on, dog. That's backwards. It's backwards no matter how you look at it. But I'm with you on that, Nick Sweeney. I agree, man. That's why I kind of tried to. I don't say in the story in the episode that they ate them. I just say like they took a bite. Even that though, we're kind of acting like, well, they didn't do it all the way. It's like, oh, that's pretty crazy still. Let's see. I'm just keeping up with the chat here. They got serious about their ball games. They did. That's a one that just never made sense to me. But different cultural contexts. They had a very odd theology. I think objectively odd theology. Like if you're sacrificing that many people, it was a lot of people. It was a lot of people. Let's see. And we talked about before, Apocalypto is a great, I think that's Mayan and not Aztec. I could be mistaken on that, but Apocalypto is a great representation of that. Okay, got that. Just making sure I'm caught up here. And good to see everybody. Make sure you like the stream and share the stream with a fellow history lover if you haven't already. Supposedly over 100,000 people for a year. I've heard varying estimates, but between 30 to 100,000, which is wildly ranging, right? But let's say that it's 30. That's a lot. That's still a lot. I would say it's probably somewhere in the middle of that, but yeah, it wasn't like a 20 people a year thing, which even that's pretty crazy. But no, 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 no. Thousands of people. They had an entire economy. Their reason for intertribal warfare. In fact, the Aztecs were not known to inflict mortal wounds unless you have to on their enemies during intertribal warfare because their goal was to capture them and bring them back. Again, you'll see that in Apocalypto. You wouldn't want to be in the middle of that. No, no, you would not. And has anybody ever been to Crow Heart Butte? I don't know if we have a lot of Wyoming people in here. We need to get some more. Oh, actually, good point, Bamadiana. I bet that place stunk. That's a good point. I never thought about that. I think a lot of history you could really experience it well through the olfactory senses, but it's just hard to recreate that. So I think a comparison I've thought of, or an example maybe, is if you want to smell what an old west town smelled like, if you go to a rodeo and you get that kind of manure dirt smell, that's probably what every town in the old west smelled like, but like times 10. Oh yeah, Elite Super. What's up, Elite Super Grunt? It was during ritualistic seasonal warfare called the Flower Wars. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And then the Mayans had a Star Wars, like literal Star Wars. Like they would do the same thing. It was seasonal, ritualistic, and driven by the position of the stars and thinking the stars were different gods. I did one of my first episodes on that. That was really cool, but it was one of my first ones. So I need to revisit that topic though, because that was super interesting, super creepy. Billy Bob Bry, did Herman Lehman claim to have eaten a heart with the Apache? I don't know if he claimed that with the Apache. I know that he very well might have, and it might just be skipping my mind right now. But he did claim to consume his enemy when the Comanche had ambushed the Tonkawa. Or no, I'm misremembering that. They had come upon a group of Tonkawa consuming a Comanche who they had unalived. And then Herman and his boys were obviously very, very, very the Comanche and the Apache, I think generally the Comanche for sure hated cannibalism. Like they abhorred it, especially abhorred the Tonkawa for their practice of it. So when they came upon, I think it's a couple dozen Tonkawa warriors, maybe a dozen or less, but they caught them, then disabled them, right? Like cut them up, and then he said they amputated their arms and legs and then put them in a big pile like cordwood and then had a bonfire. And he says he remembers like watching them squiggle, and he was like, it was so much fun. You're like, okay, all right, Herm. But I don't recall him having consumed a heart with the Apache. Though I'm open to being wrong on that. There is pericardium to bite through, all that ligamentous tissue, the chewy. But Nick Sweeney, you sound pretty familiar with consuming hearts here. And a little too familiar, if you ask me. But I agree, it's one of those like historical myths where it's like, I don't think so. Yeah, but smell is what you make of it being around cattle. I don't even smell it. You just get used to it. Yeah, I'm not even saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's an example of it, especially if you're not used to it. But if you wanted to kind of take in or get an example of what an old west town or almost any town in a horse-based culture would have smelled like, it's a close approximation. And even then, like I said, it probably needs to be exponentiated for an actual town. It's because there's people there, there's animals there. It would have been a much stronger smell. But yeah, the people during the old west wouldn't, you don't notice. I grew up right next to a dairy, and you just don't even think about it. Did consume raw meat according to him? Okay, yeah, like I said, I was open to being wrong on that. It's been a while since I've read Herman Lehman's full account. Chicken hearts are delicious. Yeah, yeah, if they're cooked right. I've had some pretty good ones. Um, Someone said they wiggled around like maggots. Yeah, I thought he said worms or something, but it was either way. It's like Herman, we're at the dinner table, not right now. They didn't have deodorant either. That's a good point. I think people might oversell how stinky people used to be, but they're pretty stinky. Thanks, Bama. Maybe a liver or something else gross. Now, yeah, I don't mean I'm trying to stay within terms of service here, but I mean in hunting, he does talk about an antelope liver. I remember that, and him being pretty shocked at the Apaches' hunting tactics because it was basically like just grab an animal and throw it on the fire. He was like, "What? No toothpaste?" Sure, I mean, but they weren't um, complete uh, derelicts. Is that no? They weren't. They just weren't completely stupid on personal hygiene. Like they did their best. They used even native tribes would use sticks to brush their teeth and stuff. And their general diet would be way less sugary than ours is today. So that's another thing working in their favor. I've been in a lot of hearts fixing meals for various animals. Hearts take a lot of processing and preparation. Yeah, it's a big muscle, right? Like and you're right. Like it's just, yeah, there's just too much material there to make the idea of someone consuming it realistic. Let's see. Chicken hearts are delicious. Elite super grunt. I agree. I agree. They can be. They can get pretty rubbery, but that's more to Nick Sweeney's point. Let's see here. I feel like the chat is putting a significant amount of time into figuring out what you could and couldn't consume, though. It's a little disconcerting, guys. I feel like I'm in danger of being eaten. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Scroll. We got quite a few chats coming in here, so I'm just catching up with them. I think nothing was stopping the railroad, says Billy Bob Bry. Yeah, I agree. I think it behooved them greatly to have the buffalo out of the way, though. Serious about their ball games. Got the ball game one. All right, I think I'm caught up. Bama says, Nick Sweeney, are you sure you're not related to Sweeney Todd? I don't think he is. I think he's an upstanding citizen with some in-depth knowledge on questionable subjects, but so am I. I'm just giving you a hard time, Nick. Buffalo breath, says Billy Bob Pride. Maybe. I think the buffalo hunters were known for being relatively unhygienic, even for the Old West. So that's saying something. Okay, we're all a bunch of dangerous extremists in here. It's a dangerous place. Fair enough, Nick Sweeney. Fair enough. Oh, did my light go out? Oh man. Well, I don't need it right now. It's okay. If that had happened, the light went out on the night show. We'd have to figure that out. Bunch of dangerous extremists. Yes, that's fair enough. Fair enough. I am the inspiration for Sweeney Todd. I haven't seen the play, but I liked the movie. That movie wasn't bad. And you guys know it's hard to get me into musicals, but Sweeney Todd and Paint Your Wagon I enjoyed. And honestly, guys, I've still been kind of amazed by how much I liked Paint Your Wagon. I would watch it again. And it wasn't a short movie, so that's really saying something. Let's see. And like I said, yeah, any questions on last night's story, on stuff that's coming up on our last episode, the 10 greatest battles of the Old West. What else? We have a really good Comanche one coming up. Hopefully Wednesday. If not, I'll get it out Thursday. It just depends on how much editing it takes. And then I'll have it took me a little longer than I thought to get this ambush in Austin one done. It's tough to find the pictures. Need more pictures. So that should be probably Fridays when we're getting that out. And then another one on Sunday. So all through December, we're really putting the pedal to the metal. I've got some good stories. I think you guys are going to like this. And I just think like my thought is also the live streams really help you understand what the stories are about. It's been a frustration for years now where I was like, oh, how do I fit this cool detail into the story? But it doesn't work. So glad we get everybody here. Jeff Turner tests the YouTube overload. Are you saying tell the story of Jeff Turner and test the YouTube overlords, Terry R? Good to see you, Terry R. Terry R skipped out on us for movie night last night. I'm just kidding. He couldn't make it last night, so we rescheduled what was supposed to be our Comancheros movie night to it's looking like Saturday this week, so everybody can make it. Overlords, yes, I got that. Let's see, Jeff Turner. I don't know if we have. I can do that tonight. Oh, Terry R, don't worry about it. I think the chat makes it hard to. Does anybody else have trouble with the chat sometimes? As far as like getting the words, don't people have a tough time typing them out? Because I don't think the what am I trying to say? The software for it or something isn't. People have a tough time using the chat. That's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes. All right, movie night says Happy Cappy. Yeah, people seem to have been liking the movie nights, so and they're fun. I think it's a good way you can watch the movie here and then watch it again, and you kind of have a better historical understanding. Zulus would consume the hearts, rest if they needed to too. They were a war machine. I think they were tough dudes, and I think people sometimes misunderstand them as like I don't what am I just a loose conglomeration of warriors, and I think they're more like the Apache. Really, it was built by Shaka Zulu, but they became a war machine, like an empire-building war machine of their own, and they didn't have horses. And Shaka Zulu just drove that whole thing. They really kind of got to South Africa around the same time as the British and the Dutch. So there was natives in South Africa, but the Zulu weren't there, and obviously the British and Dutch weren't there, and everybody kind of swooped for it at the same time. It's an interesting period of time in history. Zulus were like Comanche. I kind of think so. Yeah, they weren't horsebound, but their attitude, their organization, and their ascension from kind of a downtrodden tribe to a military superpower happened it happened very quickly. And they developed their own fighting style that held back the British Empire. It scored a massive win in Asandawattle against the British Empire. One doesn't always know when or where Terry R is going to pop up and toss a couple shots out. It's nerve-wracking. Don't let him shake you, Nick Sweeney. You got to have your hands up, protect yourself at all times. Let's see. The best offense is a good defense, right? The horn of the bull, says Pennsylvania Plowboy. Yeah, it's a Shaka Zulu tactic where he would have I guess the best way to illustrate this, a middle force going straight up the middle. And then, so your enemy is right here. Your enemy is where my eyes are. And you envelop them on both sides. So this horns of the bull concept, terrifying too. Like you would get caught in a Zulu swarm and you wouldn't know what to do. And then during the Battle of Asandolwana, which was a massive victory, I believe virtually all the British, I think there were one or two survivors, but virtually everyone wiped out, and an eclipse happened during the battle. And it's just like, it happened then or during the Battle of Rorke's Drift, but super creepy. Just add to the creepy element. Like, oh, geez. Pincer move. Basically, yeah. Similar to the Horns of Hadith, too, in the Templar battle, if anyone's familiar with that. Other way around, best defense is a vicious offense. I don't know. I agree with you, Nick Sweeney. When that came out of my mouth, the best offense is a good defense. You got to have a good defense, but the best defense is a vicious offense. I agree with you. Didn't Genghis Khan do the same thing? Yeah, and they would draw their enemies into the middle. So they would do a feigned retreat. And Comanche did this a lot. They would put a small force, let's say 10, 15 guys, and they would purposely get seen by the enemy. And they'd go, "Oh no, you saw us." And they would run away. And that would draw the enemy to them because they think like, "Well, this is a small group of Mongols. We can take this," or a small group of Comanche. And then they'd go into a valley or somewhere where they'd be easily attacked, and then they'd be encircled and they'd be caught in an ambush. Very common tactic, worked devastatingly well for, geez, almost everybody that used it. And it wasn't just the Comanche; it was the Plains tribes too. But any kind of steppe warrior tribe, the Huns, the Mongols, the Comanche, the Cheyenne, et al. Right? Feigned attacks were big. Shaka Zulu invented a new weapon, the Ithwik, right? Yeah, the short spear after the sound it makes. Yeah, the Ithwik. They developed, it was a new spear. It's kind of like the Roman gladius in a way, where it's like it's a short spear, and it was very Romanesque, where they would have a shield wall, and the short spear you'd have a wall, and the little gaps in the shields would be where the spear would come through, just like the Roman gladius. Like they would have a wall of shields, and then they would split for a second, and then the gladius comes out, you make an attack, and then it comes back. So it's this kind of turtle defense with this uh, stabbing offense, I guess we could say. And it's called, how am I going to work within terms of service on this? But it's called the Ithwik because it makes a kind of sound, and that's what it sounds like when you pulled it out of your uh, target, right? If you get what I'm saying there. Super gross, but pretty cool, right? Like pretty badass. 16th of December is Dingon's Day, Battle of Blood River. You should do a show. What is Dingon's Day? I feel like I've heard of the Battle of Blood River, though. Is that a Zulu British engagement? There's a channel called Redcoat History on YouTube who does a fantastic job breaking down all the Anglo Zulu War stuff. He actually goes to South Africa. I don't think he lives in South Africa, but he goes to Rorke's Drift. He goes to the side of Asandawano and just does a fantastic job. So if you're interested in that, I want to do more. I want to do more on the Anglo Zulu War. So if you guys are interested in it, we'll do more. I haven't done any in 2 years, so I'm really fascinated by that conflict. I'll be listening. Got to get back to house cleaning. No problem, Terry R. Nick Sweeney might have a problem with that. Don't work too hard. Didn't Genghis Khan do the same thing? Yeah, okay. Blood River was when the wagons were circled and the Zulu crushed by a wagon train. Okay, yeah, but that's the Anglo-Zulu War, right? That sounded familiar. And there's a several. I mean, it's not. I think if anybody that knows about it peripherally thinks, oh, there was Rorke's Drift and Asandawano, if they know about it at all. But no, it was an entire war. There was many engagements. It was a very brutal conflict. Relatively, I mean, Asandawano is really the only, maybe there's others, but it's the largest Zulu victory. But the same as the North American tribes, like the Zulu, eventually they had no firepower. They had limited mobility. It's questionable how long they could have held out, but that they held out at all was super impressive. Same thing for North American tribes. Like they held world empires at bay for centuries. Like how many world empires have you held at bay? Sadly, mine's at a hard zero. Comanche versus the Spartans, who would win? I guess I would take the Comanche as long as they had the horse, because the Spartans didn't have archers. I think they had some either slaves or hired emissaries that would work as archers at different times. But other than that, the Spartans relied on the phalanx. They were incredible warriors, but I think if you add in, my thought is if you add in the Comanches' mobility and their rate of fire, they would eventually win. But that's just my opinion. Who do you think, Pamadiana? That's the question. Did some of Lulu's run a ridiculous amount of miles? Oh, the Zulus. Yes, great point, Billy Bob. They ran like 30, 50 miles. They ran a long ways. A long ways. I forget exactly how far, but yes, they traveled because it was the secondary force that had broken off from the Battle of Asandawano, because it's the next day that Rorke's Drift happens. And the guys at Rorke's Drift don't even know Asandawano has happened, so they're just kind of like going about their day. And then suddenly, this huge Zulu force, composed of a lot of guys who didn't get their shots in at Asandawano and are like really wanting to take some glory home with them, appear. and it's just a vicious, vicious fight. Just attack after attack, wave after wave on the little tiny. There's a good picture, a good painting of it. Everybody's probably seen, but a good painting of Rourke's Drift, and it shows even their little dog who survived the battle. Bring this up here. Everybody's probably seen this, but I don't know. It's a cool painting. It's worth a look. Let's share Rourke's Drift real quick. Has everybody seen this? I wonder if I need to bring that up larger here. Has everybody seen this painting? There, this is the one I need. Sorry. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to share this one. There we go. Check out Blood River, Civilians versus Zulus. Yeah, yeah, I will. I've written that. I'm going to write that down right now. I already knew about Blood River kind of tangentially, but I would be down to do a whole story on that. Bamadiana says the Spartans would win. I don't think that's wrong. I think it's just a personal opinion thing, but I could see why. Let's see here. He's a certified. Oh, Pennsylvania Plowboy says Redcoat History is a certified tour guide there. Yes, and I've watched the episodes before he was a tour guide at Asondawanal, and I think he's at Rourke's Drift too. But it's a tough test. Like the Gettysburg tour guide test is notoriously difficult. People try many times to pass that test, and I think Rourke's Drift and Asondawanal is a similar thing, because he had to study hard, and understandably so. But I remember him going and taking the exam. Comanche would steal the Spartan baggage train and starve them, says Tekolosh 100. Tekoloshi 100? Sorry, that's the first time I tried to read that name. Let's see. The pursuit of Victoria was studied at the USAC War College. Yeah, as well it should. That was, the Army didn't really know what to do there, and they had to kind of invent as they went. Wow, this chat is so interesting. It really is, right? Like there's so many learned people in here. Comanche. Okay, we got that. What do y'all think? You know what? That's a good post topic, Bamadiana. Say, who would win Spartans or Comanche? Spartans, Comanche. Simple option, guys. Let me know what you think, because I'm interested. Let's see what the chat says. But yeah, you can see real quick. We'll check out this painting. You can see the little dog here who survives the battle, and injured getting carried off. And each one of these guys is, if you know the story, you can pick out which guy is who in the painting. It's escaping my mind right now on who is who, but you can see the Zulu set fire to one of the quarters, and they had to evacuate guys from that. So there's just buildings on fire, and they're surrounded by the Zulu, and there's no way really any of them should survive. And if memory serves me right, I think they all did, or very low casualties on the British side. But just a terrifying ordeal that really no one should have survived. The history chap does a good dive into these guys, into the guys from there also. Yeah, I like the history chap. Such a good name. Comanche would steal the spot. Okay, we got that. Victoria was an old dude like me. Old is a relative term, man. I mean, Geronimo was kicking till he was out there fighting till into his 60s, I believe. What about Comanches versus Mongols? We'll run that poll next. Let's see what people think about the Comanche. If I had to take Comanche versus Mongols, I might go Mongols, because they have just such disciplined tactics and such renowned, talented, ruthless leadership. Those battlefields used to be, used to be great tourist places, but if you go there today, the Zulus will get you. Really? Are you from South Africa, Tokoloshi? Let's see. Nick Sweeney going back and forth with Terry R. I like it, guys. We're mixing it up. Terry R is never more of a threat than when he claims he's stepping out of the chat to do some tidying up. I can't relax like this. Yeah, you don't know where he's gone now. He could be sneaking around anywhere out there. The scary thing, Billy Bob, let me see. Scary thing for, what was it? Oh, you're saying the Zulus, the scary thing about that would be the Zulus chanting in the thousands. Yeah, that'd be terrifying. And you can look up Zulu chants online right now. It's a very kind of kind of thing. That's an approximation, but you know what I mean. Very rhythmic. Spike TV says the Mongols would win. Yeah, I remember that show. That's kind of what that's right. I remember watching that episode. But they had it. What I didn't like about that, and that was a great show and kind of inspired the show here. But what I didn't like about it was they were both dismounted. They were on foot. And I was like, man, maybe. But the whole point is that they're horse tribes. So like you got to make them fight in groups, not one on one, and on horseback. So I thought they kind of missed the boat there. 14 votes saying the Comanche by 80%. Wow, we've got a strong anti-Comanche or a strong pro-Comanche bias in here. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's run one more. Let's see. Arizona boys take here. Who do you think who would win? I have a inclination we're going to go for the Comanche, but I'm going to ask anyways. Comanche or Mongols? We're going to go Comanche here. I'm not patting myself on the back, guys, but have we not gotten pretty good at running these polls? Start poll. Cool. Let's see. Spartans were beat by foot archers. Cavalry archers would always win. Peloponnesian War. Is that right, Tokoloshi? My bad. I meant Comanche would win. I mean, either one's. That's like it's a tough one, and I would respect either answer. I don't think anybody's wrong there, and you kind of have to see it. And if we did 100 battles, then it's like, well, in one battle, who would win? I don't know. That's one point. But if you did 100 battles, who would win the war? That's another thing to think about. Ululating is the Zulu Lulu. Ululating is the Zulu Lulu noise. Okay. Ululating. That's how you say it. They could stampede buffalo to take out the Spartans. Possibly. Mongols had armor and better bows. The armor aspect I didn't consider either. And I'm thinking just more battlefield leadership. Like their generals are unparalleled, from Genghis to Kublai Khan to Sublai. Just like a whole lineage of amazing generals, tacticians, and strategists. But how I think one way they were like the Comanche culturally is they were very open to bringing other people into their forces, to their culture. I forget the exact general, but one of the generals that Genghis Khan had was a guy who had fought against him in battle. And I think personally tried to unalive him. But if you had skills, they would incorporate you. They'd bring you over to their side. And the Comanche were the same way. They were very culturally fluid. Like if it was very culturally pragmatic. If you were useful, they'd keep you around. It's not pro or anti anybody. The facts are as they are, says Nick Sweeney. The Spartans couldn't give Comanche an equal resistance. At first glance, that's kind of maybe where I would go with that. I would just think that mobility equals survivability is an adage I've heard many times. And if that's true, the Comanche were far more mobile. I'm not sure if the Spartans had horse cavalry. Not to my knowledge, Mamadiana. I believe they outsourced that. They would get other people's that had archers. I don't even know any. I don't think there was a lot of cavalry. But as far as I know, the Spartans themselves did not have cavalry. Could be wrong on that, but let's see. Okay, got that. I think I'm caught up. I mean, I can look that up right now, but I don't believe the Spartans had cavalry. I'm more of an Old West guy, so sometimes my Old World knowledge gets a little. Oh, I got to double check it. Did Spartans have cavalry? Oh, it says they did, yes, but it was small, underdeveloped, and often provided by. Okay, no, but that's what I was thinking. They would outsource it to their allies. So they did use cavalry, but it was outsourced, like contractor situation. And kind of more like, they would outsource it to their allies and say, like, you guys have horses, you guys do it. But I think they viewed archery as kind of an effeminate practice almost. Spartans were foot soldiers. Yeah. Wow, we are seeing a 75% of you think the Mongols would win in a fight between or in a battle between the Comanche and the Mongols. You've all succumbed to Spike TV propaganda. I'm gonna close that poll. That's just about everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I would take the Mongols as well. Big Comanche fan of their tactics and warfare, but both of them very, very brutal warfare, very brutal warrior cultures. Oh, let me close this here. All right. Any more questions? Anything else on any questions, comments on stuff we've covered so far? Oh, before we get out of here, like I said, the link to the Crowheart episode, Crowheart Butte, is at the top of the chat here. So click that if you haven't watched it yet. I'll press this one more time. I know a lot of you are interested in books, what books we're using. So too much shine. Red was the blood of our forefathers. Last time can I say pimp? I think pimp this out. But yeah, written by Brian L. Keefe. Guess you can see that there. Let me see. Actually, before I get out of here, I'm going to try and post the link to that too. Red was the blood. Because I think a lot of you would really enjoy this. And it's kind of okay, it's on Amazon. Cool. I forget exactly. I don't think I bought it on Amazon, but all right, I'm going to post this in the chat too, just in case anybody wants to grab it. The Mongols had about 20 million more warriors. Yeah, that's another great point. That's a very good point. The Comanche might have had a little over 10,000 at their best. The Mongols would quickly sweep the field of even the Comanche's best. Yeah, that's a lopsided one in my view as well. Would love to see you make a 16th of December show. What's that, Tokoloshi? Am I missing something there? 16th of December show. Trying to think of a history date with 1600 or 16th of December. Engineer says, yes, they might have 20 million warriors, but they all have to poop eventually. That's a fair point. Engineer. A day of vow, 16th of December. I don't know about that, Tokoloshi. Let me see. Day of vow, 16th December. Let's see, guys. We can learn together. The Day of Vow is an important day for Afrikaners originating from the Battle of Blood River on the 16th of December, 1838, before which 464 Voortrekkers made a promise to God. Wow, I've never heard of this, man. That's crazy. Not all. Let's see. Bamadiana said the Mongols had about 20 million more warriors. Oh, what you're saying, they wouldn't all have to poop at the same time. I think that's a safe assumption, but we don't 100% know that. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Neighbor dog's going crazy, guys. So if he's getting on your nerves, let me know. Like I said, great dog. I love the dog. Sometimes he gets a little excited, so don't want y'all to have to listen to that too much. Let's see. Blood River. Yeah, dude. Tokoloshi. I'm gonna write that. I already have it pulled up on my browser, so I won't forget it, but I will write that down as well. What was it called again? Day of Vow. Dude, that's wild. I have never heard of that. Are you in South Africa, Tokoloshi? People in Mongolia still live rough, says Happy Cappy. Yeah, it's more modernized than I think your average person would think. But yeah, 100%. It's a tough country, man. I was just watching a judo tournament from there. I forget, like an Open or World Cup event or something like that. And I watched an interview of a American that had gone over there, and he was like, "Bro, Mongolia was wild, man." In South Africa, Blood River was 400. Oh, you were in South Africa, right on. Blood River was 400 Afrikaners versus 20,000 Zulus. Dude, we'll talk about this. If I can't get, what is it, the 8th, I wouldn't have time to get an episode done on it because it takes me 10 days or so to get everything. If I don't know anything about the episode, it takes me about 10 days to get it all done. So if I can't get the episode done, or I won't be able to by the 16th, we'll do a live stream on it and then do an episode later. Cool though. That's great, man. I had never heard of that. And poked around in the Anglo-Zulu Wars a good little bit, and in the Dutch-Zulu Wars. That's early though, 1838. Wow, 1838. Wow. Thanks for that, man. I've never heard of that. Mongols have invaded and upset Japanese sumo. Yeah, they invaded Japan. Don't call us Anglos. No, I wasn't calling you an Anglo. I'm saying the Anglo-Zulu War with the British. No, I know Afrikaners. I'm assuming you're an Afrikaner. It's a different thing. Dutch origin. Dutch origin. Very tough people. Very, very tough people. Mongolia has its own combat sport, martial art. Do they? What is it? I'm trying to think. Well, everybody. Oh, they're folk wrestling. Certainly, that's kind of like their own. That's why they're really good at judo. It really informs their judo style. Yeah, they have that wild folk wrestling they do out in the fields. It's like mostly throws. And I think when the more I watched a good little bit of that, and I think a lot of that comes from a cattle culture because they're throwing each other the way you would throw cattle, the way you would throw them down. Um, call it flanking them. Like you grab a calf by its flank and its head, and you flip it so you can brand it or work on it or whatever. A lot of their throws, a lot of their stuff is like, oh, you learned this from throwing cattle around or horses, whatever. Let's see. But yeah, that's Mongols are tough people. The Afrikaners are tough people. Ever heard of the Battle of September 11th? I don't even know. 1683, though. Sometimes that date gets flagged on YouTube. But we're talking about that date in 1683, just to be clear for our overlords. We're still sore. 1683. I'm going to have to look that up. But that's kind of jogging my memory. September 11th. Geez, like I said, sorry, I probably shouldn't say that date out loud. 1683. Oh, the Siege of Vienna. Yeah. I know about the Siege of Vienna. That was a big deal. So, yeah, great take, right? But no, it was a big deal. We could talk about it on a live stream. I want to make this channel history's greatest shootouts and showdowns. So not just the Old West. Like I would love to get into the Siege of Vienna, Crusade history, Anglo-Zulu War, the Afrikaners, South America. Some of my Chinese history gets a little muddled. The Mongols invented the oil check. Let's see. If they did, then maybe they're the first to employ it successfully, but I feel like the Greeks may have invented that. Ever heard of okay, got that. Okay, I think I'm about caught up. I've got the Battle of Mobile down, Bamadiana. Like I said, I won't be able to get a live or a episode done on it in the next week or two because we've got the pipeline full, but I can do a live stream on it. Happy Cappy. Oh, let's see. What are you talking about, Happy Cappy? Happy Cappy, are you getting soft on us? What's the aw mean? Yes, man. Thank you guys because I had never heard of the Battle of Mobile. I have heard of the Siege of Vienna, but I'd never heard of the Day of Vow. Happy Cappy says, "Oh, you're talking about the oil change." Yeah, I think that's let's say. Have you ever read Pancration? I think we call it Pancration, but the Greeks would have called it Pancration. You can see a lot, which is like their Olympic MMA, but with a lot fewer rules. I think there'd be a little bit of that in there somewhere because there's a lot fewer rules. There are rules, though. I think people think of Pancration as a free for all. It was not. It was an Olympic event. Let's see. Got the Battle of Mobile. Okay. Let's see. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody. If I did, no offense. There's a lot of chats coming in here. I'm trying to get to all of them. Terry R is back to house cleaning. We got that. All right, cool. We're a little over an hour now. So if anybody has any questions you want to get in now, anything else you want me to cover before we take off, and we'll head back to the afternoon's work and get ready for this evening's stream. I want to make sure my computer doesn't die in the middle of this. But yeah, like I said, if you haven't already, go check out the Crowheart Butte episode. It's pinned up there at the top of the chat. The link to the book I used is right. It's not too far up the chat, or just look up "Red Was the Blood of Our Forefathers." It's on Amazon. And let's see, anything else? Got a couple shorts coming out today, so stay tuned for those. We'll be back with our regularly scheduled nighttime live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific tonight. I'll put up the post for that with the subject for that as soon as I figure it out. And Bama Deanna with a $5 super. Thank you so much, Bama Deanna. Really appreciate that. Truly, thank you very much. Let's see. Tokoloshi says, "Nice stream. Hit the like button." Yeah, if y'all haven't already, hit the like button before you take off, and share this stream with anybody who's a history lover in your life. And like I said, we're really seeing it grow, which is really encouraging and really cool. So we're gonna get out of here. We'll go back to work. I'll let y'all go back to work, and we'll reconvene at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Like I said, more shorts coming out between now and then, and several episodes, two or three episodes coming out this week. And I think that's all I've got for now. So thank y'all again so much for tuning in, and excited to see y'all this evening for tonight's live stream. And appreciate the support so much. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. God bless. Bye.